I could just like poke out every now and again.
Yeah. So it went live just as you said, I'm just going to poke out. So that's not the greatest.
Good morning, the internet.
Good morning, Kerfufflers. Welcome to the wider Kerfuffle universe and the showcase here today. Absolutely chuffed to have the PVS guys on. Matt, Chris, how are you, my friends? You okay?
Very well, very well.
We're ready to go shopping.
Yeah, we're all branded.
Shopping or ram raiding?
Well, I feel like we look like Bane out of Batman, or alternatively.
I think you're kidding yourself, if I'm honest, mate.
Yeah, Bane was a good, wasn't it?
Okay, maybe Sub-Zero out of Mortal Kombat. I don't know.
Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Anyway, this is, you know how I like to build them up before you knock them down. Absolutely chuffed to have you guys. As you know, and anyone who lives under a rock knows, the Property Video Solutions are the preeminent, leading providers of video to the property industry. And I have to straight away at the beginning, I have to say I am completely biased because obviously I'm a big time client, fan, part-time lover of yours, all in one. When we were allowed to be. We're going to be joined. We've got Steve waiting with us. Zoe looks like she's all Jerry Maguire'd up. So let's have a look.
Yes, hello. Hi, Zoe.
Hey, Zoe. Hey. Love it.
Resplendent in the pink, and it's even matching your customer service boards behind. That was very well thought out. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, really well, thanks. Hello.
Twice in a week. Twice in a week.
I know. No.
Good stuff. Right, okay. So let's kick off with a few easy ones. Start with the video maestro stuff. Why is video so important to anyone again living under a rock? For an estate agent,
we're doing it now. We're on video. Our video call.
Okay. I need more than that. Matt.
I think we sort of say this, to a few, to people often. A few years ago, video content was an interesting sell, I guess. When you're talking about video as a part of your marketing strategy, people would say, "Oh, it's we like it, but it's quite expensive." And yeah, we do photography, and obviously we meet people. Maybe. But over the last 18 months pre-COVID, people getting to grips with the fact that actually video content is vital for their strategy, their marketing strategy, sort of nationally and locally, regardless of scale of company. I mean, we're dealing with locally from anything from a pub who's launching a new service, all the way up to someone like, you, Simon, who's launching an entirely new sort of national business, or a small to medium-sized enterprise. And people were starting to get to grips with the fact that video was becoming really, really important. And then obviously COVID hit us like a freight train, and everyone's had to use video conferencing. This is obviously StreamYard, but Zoom, which was a little known thing for business, for business owners and sort of, the more modern business user, have now become the staple diet of a family quiz night or, a few beers with friends on a Friday evening. So people have become used to, and we've sort of tried over the last few years to encourage people to get over their fear of standing in front of a little tiny lens, and that fear has almost been eradicated by COVID. There is no now, I can't get in front of a camera, I won't do it, because people have been doing it at home for the past 4 or 5 months, So I think that is disappeared. And the need for strong, bold, imaginative digital communication is now vital for any business's marketing makeup, because without it, you have what we kind of refer to as empty shop syndrome, where you've effectively got a business that looks pretty on the outside, but as soon as you walk in, there's no one visually or digitally to greet you.
But it is on that digital platform, isn't it? That's what you're talking about there. Yeah. So, you can have the nicest looking website, can't you? But actually, if there's very little content there from that point on helping you on, you're going to suffer from the dreaded bounce, aren't you?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys all know Troy Malcolm, like fantastic Australian agent, and we were chatting to him last year at one of Stephen Brown's gigs, and he told the room that he was sort of talking to that people are looking at your digital fingerprint like maybe 6 months before they even pick up the phone or send an email to you. So if they're trying to research you online to make a buying decision or for some help or advice, hints and tips, then they'll have already met you. And if they haven't met you in video form, then what's the good of a meet the team photo where someone's just having a corporate in front of a nice background? Like, yeah, that's cool to see a photo of someone, but quite quickly, over maybe 2 minutes even, you can really get a sense of what someone's offering and maybe as a person what they're like. So people are researching all of us all the time. It's just a case of putting some content out there so they can meet you, essentially. Yeah.
I've heard that 6 month stat. Have we ever had that kind of validated from any research? It'd be really interesting to see just how scientific that could be.
What you've got to ask yourself is, if you were going to sell your house tomorrow, you were going to find a letting agent to market your tenanted property. I know. I've been looking to move house. My wife's not as keen, but I've been looking to move house for about 3 years. And so I've drop tested the market. I've looked at what's available locally. I've looked on Zoopla and RightMove, and I've looked on the market, and I've looked at what local agents are selling and all those other things. And I've actively been engaging with the property market, not for work, but personally, for about 3 years. And there's only one agent I'd use in Grantham because I've seen his content online, and I would have used him pre-meeting him, actually. And that's what's important. You have to remember, when you're dealing with someone's most valuable asset, their home, it's not a snap decision to sell your house. It's not a snap decision to change your letting agent, or a snap decision to decide you're going to relocate to another part of the country and for work. These things are planned and they're premeditated. So if you have a non-existent digital shopfront, effectively, and your face is nowhere near that, then how can people know that you're the person that they should be using and trust? But look, far be it from us to say how valuable it is. We've got Zoe here and Steve.
Yeah, I was going to say, Zoe, is it fair to say, I don't think you weren't enamoured with the whole idea of video, was it, not too long ago? And you've taken to it to a duck to water, as they say. What was it about you that first of all concerned you, if you can remember back that far, and what convinced you in the end that this was really something that you needed to do?
Right, there's a lot of things. I don't think it was that I was never not enamoured with it. It's just everything else seemed to get in the way of it. And you use the excuse. I mean, there's obviously this element of fear. Well, I'm not that fearful. I'm quite outspoken, as you might have noticed. And that's never been the issue for me. It's always been there's been other stuff going on. And I think I went on a course, God, I can't remember when it was, with these two. 2 years ago. And there was a group of us there, and someone made a remark that one of you will fly, the rest of you won't bother. And I'm like, nah, I'm not going to be one that won't bother. I'll get on with it. And then, just like I say, you get back to the office like you do when you go on a course, and you say, I'm going to do this, and then you don't. And I think a few things happened to me. Something happened to me personally that made me think differently about everything. And I just, my mantra now is, it is what it is, and you get on with it. And I think sitting at home and thinking, we're away from the office. I want people to know that we're still out there. So I just got on with it. I mean, I just started doing a few little buy-to-let videos before we went into lockdown, and then I just went a little bit crazy. But just looking at that and other things that we've started doing, because I think with everything, it's got to be a culmination of video. I think you've got to do your targeting on Facebook. So I now have, I suppose, core people that I work with and go to that help me with that side of things. Paul Long doing the Facebook stuff, because it all links in with each other. And at the moment, it's quite ironic. We've got Nigel Mather-Arse doing a live somewhere else at the moment, so we've double booked at the minute. But just looking at the sort of figures without getting boring and stato about it, this time last year, I looked at the figures for the period from lockdown, so the 23rd of March to the 24th of July, we had 94 minutes of video viewed, of which 237 were 3-second views. Same period of time since lockdown, 20,000 minutes viewed and 47,800 3-second views. Now, doesn't that speak for itself?
You're going to have Netflix on the phone to you with that level.
But I mean, them figures, there's people out there, I don't know what Steve's figures are like, that are doing absolutely crazy. And that's not paid, that's organic. So that's not.
We're going to leave now. So thanks for watching.
So, you know, that just speaks for itself. And the thing is, it's just getting into the habit of doing it. It's like anything else. Once you start doing something, it becomes habit forming. You know, it's now got to a stage where the team are joining in and doing silly little videos. I mean, I did one this morning with a face mask on, you know, just to say this is what's happening now.
I saw that. That was good, that.
Yeah.
You've got these. That's why I bought this, because I thought you'd appreciate it. But I think you've got to move with the times as well. You know, there's people there that, you know, God, who still subscribes to the Yellow Pages. God, you know, you've got to move forwards. But if you're not going to move forwards, you're going to be left behind. And I don't really care if no one else in my town's not doing video, because we are. You know, but you don't want to be the one sitting there thinking, oh, him down the road's outside that cafe again. You know, I don't want to be the one that's then playing catch up.
Did the numbers start delivering straight away, or did they take time to build? Because obviously that's one of the main reasons a lot of people give up, isn't it? Is they need the returns. They feel like they're not getting it. So they just you see a splurge of activity at the start, and then they just fade away into nothing.
I think it's trial and error. I mean, sometimes you chuck something out and nobody looks at it. But again, you've just not got to think. It's like, I never think about the competition now. I just get on with it. And I think that's what you've got to do. You just keep plugging away. And as you know, you do a live and you'll have 3 people watching. You'll do a live and you'll have 63 people watching. It's just gauging time of day. What your content is as well sometimes determines whether people are listening or not. You just keep churning it out because you're building that audience. If you keep doing it, it's when you stop doing it, people go, oh, what's happened to them? Have they gone bust? It's like when you don't answer the phone, isn't it? So you just, you know, I don't know what Steve thinks.
Steve, thanks for joining us, Steve. What was your route into kind of video in agency? What convinced you? Have you been doing it a long time or relatively recently?
Personally, I haven't been doing it that long at all. So I'm a bit like Zoe in terms of lockdown. I had Emma, who's my branch manager, so she was the face of the videos for probably 5-6 years. And we've been working with Mr. Watkins. So we were doing the buy-to-let. She was doing. She'd kind of got that nailed until Luke and a couple of the others, you know, kind of left us behind as we went on. And then in lockdown, I kind of took. Obviously, listening to other people. Watching people like Lisa Novak and those kind of people inspired me to realise actually I need to just get on with it. And I think I was guilty. I am confident, but face to face I'm fine. On the phone I'm fine. In front of the camera, I hate it. So that kind of the lockdown made me do it, as Chris said. You know, I just had to get on with it and just do it. I haven't got my stats for you, but we're putting out content all the time now, and it's little. I think the little bits get more watched than the bigger stuff. The little 1-minute videos are better than trying to do a 3-minute video and people won't watch it.
So that's an important feature, isn't it? It's the lovely thing about Facebook in particular. The video just lives on, doesn't it? And I'm always stunned at the amount of, you know, live viewers you might have, and then you go back to the video 2 days later and you see 500,000 or something like that, and you think, wow, where did that come from? And I think probably, you know, it is down to that Netflix way we consume stuff these days, isn't it?
Oh, we just share it everywhere. We share it literally. We've got a VA that once we've done a video, she just then shares it off to all the Chelmsford property places and all the community groups and things like that. We got told off last week for sharing too much. So we got a Facebook warning last week, but we kind of backed down a bit, changed it. So we started sharing a different person's name, and then rather than, because what happens is I think someone complains about it. I think that's the problem. So we've got a business. It's a person, but it's a business Facebook page. That I think someone complained about John, spamming all these different groups. But yeah, and also I think one thing Chris said to me in lockdown was about storing it on YouTube as well. So he was like, Chris said to me, "Where's your videos?" And I was like, "They're all in my file. You know, they're in loads of different folders." So now every time we record a video, we save it live or otherwise, and we store it on YouTube. So we've now got a directory which we've never had before.
Free service space. Brilliant. Yeah. The thing is, what's crucial here, Okay, and we have this with people all the time. You know, Steve. You know, we've known Steve. You know, Steve's a friend of ours. We've worked with Steve. You've made some great content with Steve, but he's now making great content. And the same with Zoe. You know, we've hopefully given them enough of a shove forward to go and make some stuff. You know, and they're both now being actively doing that and are being very successful at doing so. But you know, Zoe and Steve are both completely different characters, you know, and the same can be said for one of our, you know, for some of our other clients, you know, Whaley, you're completely different to Chris Watkins, you're completely different to Sean, but you're completely different to Sean Driscoll, you're completely different to, you know, who's got another Martin & Co franchise in Leamington Spa, you're completely different to Pete Lawrence. You know, there is no hard and fast, because I always get this, you know, when I'm talking to people about content, I'm not particularly confident, I don't feel like I'm camera ready, you know, I'm not the person that should be the face, you know, what have you. But what's crucial and what everyone needs to realize is everyone is important. Their opinion as professionals is vital, because you are the expert in your local market, regardless of who you are, age, sex, demographic, what you look like, it makes no difference. What's important is the authenticity of being yourself, and also the information that you're transmitting to your client. You know, you do not have to be bullish, confident, you know, outgoing to be heartwarming and approachable on video. It's all about the intent of what you're trying to convey to your potential client. And people respond far better to authenticity than they do, you know, perfectly polished. I mean, take an example, royal weddings, just to pick one out of the air. You look at Meghan Markle and Harry's wedding, pomp, ceremony, circumstance, an incredible national event, now totally destroyed by the way that they've behaved and acted. And then you look at someone like Beatrice, who's gone and got married in secret, and she's the nation's sweetheart, you know, and it's all about intent and authenticity. You know, it's about how perceptionally people will see you. And I think if you're honest and you're true to your information and you're true to your community, then you're going to win in the long run.
The only thing I'd say about authentic is, you notice Prince Andrew wasn't on any of those videos, didn't you?
Let's not ruin it.
There's a point where authenticity sort of,
it took 20 minutes to get political. 20 minutes.
You mentioned loud, you mentioned authenticity, and so of course, like Candyman, Christian Byfield appears.
Good morning, bearded superstar.
Embrace the fear indeed.
I'm assuming that's in response to your comments rather than your face mask, but I think you can take it either way. And look, I do agree with you. I think it's really, you know, if you're out there, if you are going to be putting yourself, as everyone does, as the expert in the area, then you really just have to embrace it, even once you get past the awkwardness. And people always talk about, you know, me being loud and brash, but I despised going on camera in the early days, you know, in terms of the fakeness and everything else there, that it just felt like, and there is genuinely a point, just like public speaking, isn't there? Once you've done it enough times there, maybe it doesn't stop for some people at one end of the spectrum ever feeling entirely comfortable, but it's certainly something you can just get past and get on with on a daily basis, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry, go on. I was just going to say
the benefit of business is better, isn't it? Really?
People viewing your videos, you know, whether it's a landlord or a potential vendor, they're not Jonathan Ross or Barry Norman. They're not film critics. Like, they don't necessarily know what is amazing editing or camera presence. But if you just be you and come across, like Chris said, genuinely, and actually give, you know, authentic, helpful information, then people judge you on that, not like whether you've got a swirly graphic or whether you stood in the right position. I mean, there are some 101s that, you know, will make you look better on camera and give you confidence. But essentially, like, I mean, we always say in our training courses, you know, don't worry about the video you made yesterday, because essentially it's digital chip shot paper. You know, it'll hang around in the ether on a timeline somewhere, but there's so much video content on all platforms nowadays that you probably struggle to find a video you made last week on a timeline, because there's so much you know, sort of superseding and preceding it. So,
and as Zoe said, it's all subliminal advertising, isn't it? It's just, look, even if you're not even paying attention to that, you notice that person up on your timeline, and you know that these are the people in your town or village or whatever else area that are talking about property. And that has, you know, again, it's almost one of those impossible to quantify kind of things, but we don't need to do this to death, because science and marketing research shows us that this works hands down, doesn't it?
I just love that Steve has made content, because that is a real validation for me as a human being, because I know how fearful, Matt knows how fearful Steve was when we went and made some content with Steve and professionally made some stuff for him, you know, and how kind of anxious he got around being on camera. So to see him bold as brass just making content for his business is actually brilliant, because it is a real, I mean, it's a real testament, I think, to the changing times, and a real testament to that kind of need from the consumer. You know, it's all well and good us going, oh, you need to make video content, you have to pay us to make it. Actually, that's not true. No. Crucially, what's important is your consumer demands this now. You know, if you look at the largest emerging platforms like TikTok, for example, I mean, obviously, you know, there is all this.
Big fan of TikTok.
I know you are. You're a huge fan. But
the Americans have got their own version now, because they're going to kick China.
Kick the Chinese. But you know, there is a reason why Facebook pulled forward their Facebook rooms. There is a reason why Google have made Google Meet free. You know, because they've lost traction with Zoom. They want to keep people on their platforms. You know, there is a reason why TikTok has exploded, and it's because the consumers are demanding video content, and that's how they want to consume information. You know, gone are the days of a 500-word press release. You know, I was a journalist, you know, 10, 15 years ago. Maybe even.
It doesn't look old enough, I know.
I'm a bit grey around the gills, but you know, a 500-word, you know, article in a local newspaper, that's dead now. You know, you might have someone who's got time on a Sunday read it, but actually look at how people are consuming news. It's two lines from BBC or Sky News on your phone, headline, and then if you're interested, you'll read it. And that's how people should be approaching their video content. You know, Zoe and Steve have got some incredible blogs for their areas, and they do brilliant work around, you know, what's happening in their local markets. And so they put a 30-second piece out saying, you know, this week in Chelmsford, I just wanted to let you know about this fantastic development, this, that, this, that, this, that. To find out more, go to the chelmsfordpropertyblog.co.uk. Then what you're doing is effectively BBC newsing, you know, your content. And it's the same for Zoe in Bedford, you know. And it's just so crucial to have that little tiny hook. And it sounds dead simple, but actually Steve and Zoe have gone out and they've made this content. And there is this huge perception, and you've fallen foul of this, Simon, of this sort of feeling like, oh, everyone's making video content now. That's right. I'm going to be a Me Too. You know, no one's going to watch it. You know, blah 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 blah. But if you actually drill down into areas, because we're exposed to it, and we see 100 agents making content on all the groups that we follow, our perception is wildly different to that of our consumer. How many people are making video content, Zoe, in Bedford, agents? How many are making them?
Regularly.
Yeah.
Not many. I'm not going to name names. There is one other estate agent, I would say, who I think, yeah, he's doing all right. Rest of them, I mean, yeah. Out of
there in Bedford,
over 60. There are odd ones that jump on TikTok every now and again and do something. I mean, if you're really sad and a bit like me, you go and look if you go in the back door of Facebook, you can see who's doing what.
Yes.
And, you know, and you can see how much engagement they're getting and how much video they're putting out. Yeah. And I'd say the only videos you see now are the ones going around properties, the virtual tours, yawn. Do you know what I mean? It's not just about that. And that's the thing. It needs to be about more than... I think you have to do the virtual tours, and you have to do the estate agency stuff, and you have to do the letting stuff. But I think, like you said, people want to see you, and people buy people. And if they see you looking like a complete so-and-so wearing a face mask, they go, oh, actually, she's all right. She's not, you know, and it doesn't have to be perfectly Steven Spielberged, so it looks fabulous. I mean, I get why Simon Hawksley does what he does with his videos, because he's selling £1 million properties. But it's not, it's what is it, JFDI?
JFDI.
What about you?
No.
Let's deal with that point there, because I think that's really important, isn't it? Is, you know, there's this point about the blended approach, and you know, so of course, you know, you've just mentioned there, obviously you guys do very high quality video and everything else. As Zoe was just talking about, look, we're doing it on a nice, cheap and cheerful streaming service here. There was, I think, what for me, what did the pandemic bring for us? But what it actually did do, wasn't it? It actually made normal video acceptable in a production sense, and I think that's really, really important, that you don't then feel like everything has to be a multi-thousand-pound production or something like that. But it is vital to have that blend, isn't it? Because there are times where you don't want to have the cheaper guerrilla style marketing.
Yeah.
What's your recommendation on that? I mean, I suppose the key thing is just to make sure you're getting the content. How do you decide on what bit should be quality, or, you know, the highest production?
I think if it represents your brand, your company, your business as a whole, then you need a little bit of quality in there, because you're trying to say to people, look, we've been here a while, we've got processes, we've got staff, like, we'll, you know, treat you like you're our only customer. But then, like you just said, Simon, it's perfect to be in a car or on the way to somewhere, or just as you're going for lunch at Boots or whatever, to make that quick video on your phone while you're walking, while you're in the car, for that immediacy. Because then, like you say, people get that blend of content where they don't just think, oh, like they're just doing this like snazzy, you know, Spielberg style production, and I don't really get anything from them. But you're mixing it in with, hi, I'm Matt. I'd love to tell you about this property. I've just walked past it on the way to Boots, and I can't believe it's still on the market. And it's, again, those little sort of VIP bits of info that people in your town or area wouldn't normally get their hands on, because they don't know an estate agent. Whereas, you know, like you just said, we know a lot of people. We spoke to someone in Huddersfield the other day, and she was like, well, there's no point in doing video because all I see is video. And we were like, no, it's because you're in all these groups. Actually, in Huddersfield itself, you will be the only one doing video. I mean, there's a couple of
I've just got off the train at Crewe. It's like being surprised to see trains if you're a train spotter stood at Shoe. If you're in that world, of course you're going to notice it. But as just to pick up on something, by the way, Chris, I never ever uttered the words "I'm going to be me too." That's never. What I was conscious of was I did think that there was lots and lots of people doing similar kind of stuff, but as you pointed out, you know, there's Watkins, there's a couple of other, and it is Watkins, by the way. Let's not forget the S on the end of the word.
Between two penguins. Watch between two penguins.
Just call him big dog. That's what you call him, isn't it?
Big dog. The question, the reality is, right? The reality is, if I was going to buy something, okay, so let's take a big brand like Apple. Yeah, take Apple. Okay, when you get an Apple product, there is a certain feel about it. When it's packaged beautifully, it feels lovely. Everything's just so. You know, it's perfect, and you expect that from Apple. Yeah, but there is also 1,000 unboxing Apple product videos on YouTube that are shot by Dave from around the corner. There's loads of people like in queues go, oh, I can't believe it. I'm queuing up to get the latest iPhone 11, really exciting, what have you. But what's crucial is the core stuff that the company puts out is very polished and very perfect, and their websites are slick and they're smart, yeah? Because what you're buying is you're buying a premium product, yeah? When you are looking at selling your largest asset or renting something that is of high value to you, you want to use a company that perceptionally fits what you would desire as a consumer. So if you were going to sell your property, you would want to go to a website, and these guys are perfect because they've got franchises, a couple of the biggest franchise groups in the UK. Okay, their brand is perfect, their websites are lovely, their overall look and feel is great. Yeah. And so if you were looking at professional content, stuff around the market that is, got some nice stat overlay, or a business profile film that has, or a meet the team, really nicely shot stuff for meet the team, or, if they've got a really exclusive property, something with some nice aerials or some motion, then of course they want to be using a professional company, because that is representative of what they're selling as a service and the quality of what they're doing. But what shouldn't be ignored is that authenticity and that immediacy that making their own content gives. You know, it really is about that yin and yang between volume and having lots of content all the time that keeps you in the forefront of your consumer's mind.
Yeah.
And also that it's underpinned by just a sprinkling of quality, you know, that gives them that continuity for their overall brand.
Oh, we got a question here from Bradley. I won't ask you to answer it just yet, but I'll just chuck it out there and we'll come back to it. Brad asked, can he share top 3 tips for making a great video? So we'll come back to that. We've got top time at the end there. It's half an hour gone, so I thought I'd ask my first question. And that's my normal preamble, sort of half hour there. So what trends are you seeing as a production company out there? You mentioned a couple of different ones there, but what are the, and I suppose, how have they changed over the lockdown period to what you're seeing now as well?
Yeah, well, Chris and I mean, like a lot of business owners, like during the period, we swallowed our pride. Like, yeah, we did that as well at first. But we took on all sorts of jobs that normally, like, not that we're too good for, but like that maybe some staff would do, but obviously they're all off as well. And it actually started this really, I mean, it was funny enough, we chatted about a podcast that you did, Simon, with Josh Fegan, the lovely Josh, who is like, as you know, laser targeted, even wears the same suit and shirt every day, so he doesn't have to think about it very well, but Zuckerberg. And he was saying that if you haven't reimagined some part of your business during lockdown, then you just haven't been thinking about it long and hard enough. And he said, out of this adversity should come some good. And Chris and I started talking, and, you know, not necessarily from the Zoom thing, but we started thinking, are we like providing a full range of products, and could we be doing some cheaper stuff that is run rate? And we've seen great success with a product we've got called Edit Credit, where, you know, from 20 quid upwards, you can send us a video you've taken, and we're talking about the non-polished ones that we were before, and we'll tidy it up for you, maybe add logos, subtitles, whatever it is. But, you know, if you're a business owner and you're, say, 50, 60 plus, you know, a lot of people we speak to, they don't really want to learn editing. They don't really want to, you know, sort of start working out how to, you know, program a DSLR for a great focal length and stuff like that. So, you know, it's like there's a book. I mean, you know, Spencer Fortag. We met him at the second ever Sanj Fest, and he told us about a book that splits business into £1,000 jobs, £100 jobs, and £10 jobs. Now we can take £10 jobs off certain franchise and business owners and create them a quick video within the same day, pretty much turnaround time, and that allows them to go and do the £100,000 jobs, because we both know that it's going to take them a lot longer to figure out, practice, and get good at editing and filming than it is, you know, worth just sending it to us and getting on with selling houses or letting houses. So the trends we've seen slowly have been smaller pieces of work, but on a broader scale.
I think that you've got a bit of a misconception at the moment, and it's mildly amusing / hilarious that a lot of business owners, you know, are guilty of. They've gone, oh Christ, video, yeah, let's get someone in that's about 15 grand a year, and we'll have them do all our social media, we'll have them make our film content, we'll have them do our property photography, we'll have them do this, and then they'll get it all, and we'll just do that. And then what will happen over the next 6 months is they go, the £15,000 member of staff that I've got doesn't function like an entire media team with 40 years experience. So maybe we need to do something a little bit different. And actually, that's what's going to come full circle. I think, you know, there's been this sort of rush to market where people have kind of employed, you know, or they're looking to employ low-cost staff to do these tasks. But actually, you know, having had all of the problems, you know, that's the key, you know, like you've had in your businesses, and Steve and Zoe particularly, you know, they will know as successful, you know, and long-time business owners that they've had all of those little things that are a problem, like, the audio's not right, or in our case, sorry, not in Steve and Zoe's case, but, you know, their own problems relating to their business. But in our case, I've left that lens at home. How am I going to make that go? Or I've not got the right mic pack, or I've not got the right this, or you get back and there's an audio problem you need to fix, or there's a color issue, or whatever. And we've overcome every problem that you could possibly think of in video and production. We've had that problem and we've resolved it. And a lot of things are going to happen where it's not going to work. And so we've seen people go, do you know what? I'm going to avoid that. I'm just going to send it to a professional company to have it done for 50 quid or whatever, and get it nailed. But I think there will be, this is a thing at the moment, this Zoom chat, and Zoe and I and Steve and I have had some Zooms together, and we've recorded some stuff, and it's been brilliant because we've been able to catch up and, you know, and make some really good content. And that's been okay for this period of time. People have got used to seeing this sort of content. But when we come out of this COVID period, people will be sick of seeing this format, you know, and they'll want to start seeing some quality. And that's where we'll come back in again. But people have been making some really good content, and we've set up a free Facebook group, the Estate Agency Video Group, online. Steve and Zoe, both members of that. It's nearly 500 members in there now. And that's just free help and advice for people who are making their own content, you know, and they've got access to us. You know, if they've got a question, you know, we'll give them, you know, the right answers. You know, it's completely free. You know, and we've also seen a need for a bit of training. You know, Zoe has had training from us, and she's using it brilliantly. We've worked with Steve. I don't think Steve's been on a training course with us. Oh no, you did. You came on 1 year ago with Chris when we came down to you did.
London.
But we have a desire and a need for people to learn. So we used to run training courses in our offices, in our studios, face to face, which Zoe came to. But obviously we can't do that at the moment. So we've digitized that.
Yeah.
And we've now got a sort of closed training school with 40 odd videos, and there's even more access to us in there. You know, and that's $9.99 a month. You know, for people to sign up and learn. So that's been the desire, that low cost stuff. You know, because people need the content, but they don't have the budgets particularly. But then this Australian American models come in locally, where, you know, vendor paid marketing, you know, for large scale properties, for
which we would highly recommend to any agent watching. If you're worried about paying 500 quid, 400 quid for a nice property tour,
don't
pass it over like the Australians do. It's a no-brainer. If you're doing £1 million property or a 500 grand property, an extra 400 quid as part of your marketing package is neither here nor there to a vendor, to be fair. And, you know, agent wins, they get quality content. Their vendor feels happy because they've got this. You know, a lot of people aren't offering video as part of their marketing package. Now, if you're one of those agents that does, it's very, you know, we do a lot of stuff for Fine and Country in Lincolnshire, and it quite often within a week of the video going out on a network on LinkedIn or Facebook, they're starting to get quite a number of viewings and sales. You know, a lot of sales have gone through like really quickly because people get to see the house in a totally different way to a photo. But yeah, horses for courses.
But I mean, Steve, look, you've started making content, right, over this period, and we've done some together. We did a really good interview around, you know, your process and your journey. As an owner, what is your desire as a business owner? What do you want, you know, video content wise? What do you need?
I think you've hit it on the head, really, haven't you? I think we thought it was. I think we've been lucky, haven't we? We've come out of lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown, and I 100% agree with you. I think Zoom calls were great at in the lockdown period. I think we need people we can trust. People can just go there, get on with it. And I think that's what I like about you guys. You come up with the ideas.
Yeah,
you help us get there,
Steve, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the one thing, you know, when we're talking about the quality and everything else, but I might actually kick them out of the studio while we talk about it behind their back. The brilliant thing about Matt and Chris is that they give you that editorial input, don't they? That you know, almost like having your own film producers in there. You know, the amount of things that I've missed, and then Matt or Chris will come back in and say, "Look, have you thought about asking this question or jumping in there?" You can't. I mean, you can put a problem in that, but you know, the fact that these guys are doing it often at a price that other good video people will be doing it's absolutely fantastic to have that on top, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think they're so willing to help, as what Chris just said about the whole learning. They just want to teach everyone, which is not going to make
that's what we are like as people, and that's one of our business, you know, bits of ethos is that, like, well, the triangle, like, don't charge too much, do what you say you're going to do, and don't be a dick. Like, it's that kind of thing where, you know, if you're working with someone for the day, we're not just going to turn up with a camera, press record and go on then, off you go, because it doesn't benefit us, because the content we then produce isn't as good as it could be. And if someone uses us for 3 months or 6 months, you know, say we've been working with Pete Lawrence for 6 months. If he now decides that he's cool on his own and he's got a local guy and this, that, and the other, yeah, he probably won't, because he gets that much more value. But I mean, also, like Chris said at the start of the call, like we just want to see everyone doing it because it is a good idea. You know, whether we prosper or not, it's just a good idea in business.
The thing for me is, like, you know, we work, you know, Zoe and I have had a couple of hundred phone calls probably, you know, and we've only done, I mean, we've done a buy-to-let evening with Zoe, where she's paid us to film a big event, and she sent us a few bits of edit credit, and she's been on a course, you know, so she's hardly a high roller, you know, in terms of like client, like spending money with us. You know, Steve, we made a great destination film in Chelmsford with Steve, and that did really well. And we did a buy-to-let evening with Steve. But I mean, you know, these guys' total spend with us, you know, isn't massive.
Yeah.
But you know, we keep in regular contact. We, you know, we try and give them.
Tapping into you. They're tapping into your knowledge and that.
Yeah,
that.
But what's important is that we're friends, and we, you know, we've built a client relationship where, you know, if Steve had a problem with a piece of video content, I know he'd call me. And if Zoe had an issue with a piece of video content or needed something turning around super quick, she'd call us, you know. And I think that's what's important. It's about that kind of mutual benefit. Because, you know, look, we're not looking to be multimillionaires or whatever. We're looking to have a lasting impact on people's businesses and lives, so that when they, you know, when they go, oh, you know, if someone asks them who would they recommend, then, you know, ideally it would be us, because, you know, we've tried to give as much as we can to help people where we can, you know, and if, you know, if that builds our business in a positive way and people want to recommend us and they want to share us out, then amazing. But the reality is that as long as people are making content and their businesses are benefiting, then we're winning, because actually, you know, we're not selling snake oil. We're telling people that this is going to be good for their business. And the proof really is in the pudding. You only have to look at Steve and Zoe, completely different businesses in completely different parts of the country, you know, and they've both adopted this medium, and they're both being super successful with it.
I'm instinctively a big fan of companies like yourself. I can think of another, obviously we all know Moneypenny, who are just there and they say, look, you know, by all means, if you want to use us as a burst capability, an overflow capability, do it. I think that actually at their heart is they know that they do the job so well in the way that you do that people will come back to you, won't they? On there, and that's wonderful to know. There is that you're always there on tap, that you've got that ability to go with it. But if your business is going in a slightly different direction, you're not tied down to a huge contractual term or something like that, which is we companies try to trap you into things, isn't it? If you're trying to do it via the legal, you haven't really got that stronger business, have you?
Look, the reality is that we could be that guy. You know, we could be those guys who, you know, tied people down
6 months
and said you must do this and you must do that and what have you. But, you know, Stephen Brown, who's like, you know, an incredible guy and a brilliant trainer. I know Zoe and Steve know Stephen, you know, and you, Simon, obviously, you know, wonderful human being. And he said something that was really resonated with me at the start of this sort of pandemic, you know, when I was like having a breakdown about shit, you know, what's going to happen with all this. And he said, look, Chris, if you are employed, you have one customer. And if that customer stops buying from you, you're knackered. If you are self-employed or you're a business owner, he said, what would happen if you lost a client tomorrow? I said, well, we don't lose them because we've got too good a relationship. He went, no. He said, what would happen if you lost a client? I said, well, I'd be really pissed off because I'd feel like I was hurt and I'd go and find 3 more. And he said, exactly. He said, you are in a position to work with as many people as you physically can. And if you lose one client, it will hurt you, but you can keep going. He said, if you're employed, then you can't do that. He said, so actually think of your business more broadly. And actually, if you nurture those clients and they recommend you on, like, you know, Zoe and Steve, I hope they wouldn't hesitate to recommend us, and same with you, Simon. You know, our clients are our raving fans, you know, and that way.
I think if I can I say a few things? Is that all right? Because the thing is, and one of the things that's come out is that I haven't got an endless pot of money to pay for these guys. So I take what I can. But one of the things, when you get some suppliers, that always have an ulterior motive or a hidden agenda. So, you know, if you subscribe to something that's 50 quid, there's going to be something else, and then something else and something else. Yeah. And then there's some guys out there, some suppliers out there that will give you their all regardless, because they want you to succeed. And what I would say is exactly these two are like that. Yeah. I give them what I can, and that they welcome that, but then they're there if I need them, and that's absolutely brilliant. And I think what really gets me is that, and I'm sure Steve being a franchise, is we've got 100 blooming odd other branches, and there's only a few of us doing video, and there's only a few of us working with these guys, and it's just it's disappointing, I think, that we're not grasping the mantle, because if we want to be market leaders, and I know that me and Steve, there's this healthy rivalry between the two franchises, and he'll probably mirror what I'm saying, is you want to get one over on them, you want to do better. And it's just why are we not? You don't have to spend a fortune to do it. There's so many other things that we have not even touched on with video. We're doing like video messaging to our clients now, saying thanks for choosing us, or we'll see you next week when you're moving in, and if you're worried about what's going to happen in the office, this is what's going to happen. You can get video reviews is a little app thing that's free, where you can send a little video and get a video back that you can then post on. There's so many things, but these guys are amazing. There's a few people that through this pandemic I couldn't have got through without, and I'd probably say these two at the top of the list. And Chris Watkins will sulk now I've said that. So sorry, Chris.
It's okay. You won't watch.
But yeah, I mean, like that's in the flip reverse side of things. Like, like say we've had many calls in the car, like Zoe's name pops up, we're like, hey, how's it going, mate? But if I had a problem with, looking at a let or being a landlord, then I could pick up the phone to, especially these two, but a number of, agency related people. And I like to think that they give a bit of free advice, back again, regardless of whether we've helped them. But there's just some genuinely nice people in business, and you are naturally drawn towards those people, whether you do work with them or not. So
I think it's great.
Just be very careful about making an enemy of Watkins. I know he's got this friendly face. But the reason I called him Property Wolverine wasn't because he looked like it. It's that's how he deals with enemies.
You've not seen my wrath, Simon. That's all I'll say on the matter. If you ever ask Chris Watkins about the wrath,
it's why I'm doing this show digitally, Zoe.
That's it. But no, look, but the thing with Zoe, Zoe's, it's the same for us. We've had a lot of love. We set up our free group on Facebook as something to do with our COVID time, effectively. Because we couldn't make any content. So we wanted to help people who were, but both Steve and Zoe and Pete Lawrence, and some of our other clients really, and you, Simon, particularly, helped us through the COVID period by saying, look, you can't make any content for us on site, but I've got this little bit of work. Do you want it? And we were like, yes, please. So I did an interview with Steve.
Here's 200 videos.
Yeah, but our clients supported us as much as we supported them. Lawrence said to me, look, I've got a load of video, photo slideshows. If you want them, you can have. I've not got a huge budget, but if you want them, you can do them. And I was like, yes, please. We'll have all of those. Thanks. Yeah. And those little bits of money kept us going. Those little jobs, and it's all well and good being a huge production house and go, I won't get out of bed for less than £10,000. But actually, when someone's willing in the midst of a global pandemic to pay you 50, 100, 200 quid, 500 quid to do a lot of work, that helps, because that kept us alive.
That makes perfect sense. And guys, where are you seeing, where are the eyeballs of estate agents' clients these days? What are they looking at?
Well, we'd say, actually, I read it a couple of weeks ago, but there's a great quote from Lamborghini. And they once got asked why they don't advertise on TV. And they turned around simply and said, because our target audience isn't sitting around watching TV. They know we're here, and they're obviously affluent people. If they want a Lamborghini, they'll ring us or they'll pop into a showroom. We don't need to advertise on TV because the product's already sold. It's, some of the best motor cars in the world. So for estate agents, I'd flip that on the head and say, you know, your audience is preliminary or mainly on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah.
Like there are younger landlords that are using Instagram and TikTok, and they will emerge to become bigger platforms for that. But you look at Zuckerberg; he's ploughed a lot of dollars into sort of housing stuff on Facebook, and I'd say you know where your audience is, so why not make content because you know they're sitting around watching the telly, but i.e. their phones and. Those two. I mean, Chris will tell you about LinkedIn as a platform for video. It's
massive.
Yeah.
I think what's important is I get this question a lot, and I had this. Zoe was on a webinar I did for the Belvoir Network last week, and someone was like, "Well, what about Instagram?" And I was like, "What about it?" And they said, "Should we be posting there?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "One of the key points about video content, if you've made something, post it everywhere. Don't just go, oh, well, I'll just put it on, one or the other. Put it everywhere. Use it. If you want to streamline your process, use a content management tool like Hootsuite or Content.io. We paid $75 or something for Content.io during the COVID lockdown period, forever. And that links 5 of our social channels, and you can put one video on, upload it, and it posts it out to all of those channels. So you don't have to make it laborious for yourself, but more is more is more. If you can put your face in front of more people on more platforms and target more of your audience, then brilliant. But don't neglect things like YouTube. Steve rightly said, I said to him during the COVID period, where's all your content? And it wasn't on YouTube. But what's important is these guys are expert. Zoe and Steve know their market backwards, like the back of their hand. As well as I know a camera, they know their market.
Yeah.
What will happen if Zoe builds like you are, Simon, and like Chris has done? If in a year's time, Steve's put a video out going, this is what I think the market's going to do over the next 12 months. If that prophecy, like Gary Vaynerchuk or Tony Robbins or whoever comes true, 12 months down the line, Steve can go, hi guys, just thought I'd jump on and share this video that I put out 12 months ago.
Yeah.
This would happen in the market. And guess what? I know this happened. I'm a genius, right?
So that point there, Chris, is, you're putting out social proof all the time anyway with your boards and everything else, but you're also acting as, reinforcing that expert in your local area.
Of course, because you look like Nostradamus.
Yeah. So just make 2 massively different predictions at all times.
Yeah.
Market's going up, market's going down, and come back.
Exactly. Share the one that was right. It's not a science. I don't think Gary Vaynerchuk really predicted that Netflix was going to be bigger than Blockbuster as a standalone piece, do you?
Okay, let me do that now. I think that booming's going to be a massive success. I think that booming's going to be a massive failure. There we are. In a year, we'll see how that.
Excellent. You got it. But yeah, I mean, I know your audience. I mean, these guys will know better than we, but a lot of landlords and vendors are using Facebook and are using LinkedIn because LinkedIn's the last bastion of professional social media.
Yeah, I think you've got to train your audience as well, because we had a little bit of a debate about portals the other day, didn't we? Yeah. And I think one of the things that we're trying to do now is train our audience that our content is on the Facebook, the social media rather than the RightMoves, because they've got this fixation with it. Oh, if it's not on RightMove, it's not working. Yeah. We're now training people to say, well, just check out our video that we've just done. In the last 24 hours, we've had all the 5,000 people look at it. Do you think you're going to get that sort of coverage on RightMove? And it's just about reinforcing that.
Yeah, Pete from Lawrence Rand in Ruislip, he said, I mean, again, don't know the actual stats, but I mean, I'm sure he'll jump on and say, but he's now getting more active leads from Facebook and all the video advertising he's doing on there than he is from RightMove and Zoopla together. Yeah. That blew our minds. We were
Alan Batt in Wigan as well. He has a lot of traction, and he just.
Yeah, but these little teasers as well, isn't it? It's not the whole. You just got to do. We're doing what Lisa Novak does in Australia. It's just little, because they have to pay for the vendor advertising over there, so she does it. Quote, so we're doing the same kind of thing. Look, we're outside this house. It's a 3-bed property. It's coming to market. We don't put a price in it, so we can reuse it. This is what it contains. Messages. We're sold a few as well that way.
We did that a couple of weeks back, and we got such a flurry of activity. People were saying, "Well, can I see it now? Can I see it now? Can I say what's the price? What's the price?" Really? Constantly thousands of people asking the daft question. Which would you get that on the portals? Probably not.
No, you don't get that engagement because it's not social. It's just more of a viewing.
But you also know if people are leaving comments and stuff, you know, underneath, all of those people are actively engaging with you, and you can go back to all of those people. And I don't know how the RightMove leads things work, but I'm guessing you have to fill in a thing saying, I'd like to, you know, I'd be interested in blah, 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 blah. I mean, it must be far more labor intensive than going thumbs up, like, or love this property, or, oh, this is nice. Dave, have you seen this? And you can go back to both Sharon and Dave, you know, because Sharon's tagged Dave, and you can go back to both of them and go, do you want to view? You know, so,
and that's appearing in both their feeds as well. So
yeah, and all their friends see it. Yeah,
all their friends see it as well.
I like your point there, Zoe, about training your audience, whether it's with Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos at midday every time, or using the same music, using the same intro titles, using the same lower third to, say your name. But like people then get used to, because if you turned on the news one night or the one show, and like the studio would turn to blue on the one show, and there was like two presenters you've never seen before, everyone would be like, "Whoa, what's going on?" But because it's regular content with presenters you recognise and a set in a studio and the music that you also recognise, it becomes very sort of like normal, and you get used to it and you like it, and then you seek it out day upon day.
That's important though. That seeking it out is important. So you have to remember, you have to think laterally, how are people using their channels? Like, how are people using RightMove? How are people using Zoopla? How are people using Facebook? And how are people using YouTube? Yeah, because what happens when you failed to record something on Sky Plus and you're having to watch it live? You go, oh Christ, adverts, and instantly you pick up your phone and you start scrolling. Yeah, because you're having a little look at Facebook or whatever. You know, Facebook pushes you information that is relevant to your searching and what have you. If you've been looking for houses or you've been interested in looking for properties, Facebook knows that because it's dark and mysterious, right? But it will push you that information and it will make it appear in your feeds. If you live in Chelmsford, you've Googled a property or whatever, or you've even said out loud, oh, maybe we should think about moving. It will start feeding you that information. RightMove and Zoopla, you have to physically go there and start searching, put a postcode area in, you know, taper it down like you would do for Auto Trader for a car. You know, you have to actively go searching. Same with YouTube. You know, you have to go to YouTube and search how to inflate my hot tub. Yeah. Whereas Facebook,
first world problems.
Yeah, I know.
But Facebook is giving you that information, and that's why Pete Lawrence said these words. He said, Facebook is RightMove and Zoopla's #1 competitor and problem, because it will actively show users what they want to see and will engage with them in a way that nothing else can, because it cannot. RightMove and Zoopla can't compete with them.
The whole point about Facebook is the advertising is actually, the costing is based around relevance, isn't it? The more relevant you are, the cheaper, obviously. They're absolutely beholden to make sure you're getting that right.
That's why people like Paul Long are so vital if you're going to start a campaign, because the guy just knows how to, you know, pennies per click and make adverts cheaper, because he's just essentially helping the Facebook algorithm do less work, so it charges you less.
Look, we're not here. We're not bashing anybody, but if you take the average spend from a portal, from an agent, and you were to take that money
just for a month,
just for 1 month, and put it into Facebook advertising, I don't even know what would happen, because the reality is that I know, as a, you know, when I used to work in news, it was £1,000 for a newspaper page. You know, and that would be seen by any number of people, and it might not be relevant to them. And, you know, it was all done on ABC stats and they double the figures and all that stuff, right? You actively know now who wants to engage with your stuff because they're looking for it. They've already Googled, and it's putting adverts that are relevant to you into your feed. So you know that it's of interest to them. You know it's of interest. So Zoe's numbers on Facebook, if you were to put them side by side with any portal, about a property, if Zoe was to put a video on about a property, in fact, Zoe, can you do this for me? Right. So if you take a video of a property, a tour, and you were to list it on a portal, and you were to put it on Facebook and put 30 quid's worth of advertising spend behind it, and see what the number of views you get on that portal versus the number of views you get on Facebook.
That could be one for your white paper, Simon, next time round.
Oh yeah.
Maybe we should do one.
It's going to be staggering.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, I'm obviously been incredibly blessed in terms of all this. Some people, Can you give us just, in terms of those people that maybe think that they don't have a face for video or they feel awkward, what are some just really easy life hacks to looking good on camera?
Okay, so
don't care. Don't care. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry what Sally_77 in Bournemouth thinks about your video, because you'll probably never meet Sally_77,
and she's probably really miserable anyway. So
yeah, you don't want to spend time with
her. But there were three really good things. Okay, to looking
facial flaps.
Facial flaps. Okay, otherwise known as a post-it note. So you can stick that on the front of the camera, cover your face, get yourself set and comfortable, then bang a post-it note over your face so you don't spend all the time, messing with your hair, adjusting yourself, doing it, okay? Because that will give you the confidence to not see yourself until you won't feel quite as self-conscious. Also, the benefit of post-it notes is they're made from paper, so you can scribble your details on there. So if you can't remember what the value, if you get flustered and you want to lose, you forget your information, you can put on there how many bedrooms it's got, how much it's on for per calendar month for rental, or how much the value is for sale. And any other bits that you can squeeze onto, an average size post-it note. You could probably get at least 5 decent sized bullet points on there. So that will drive your narrative, okay? And what's crucial is eye contact. So a bit of blue tack or a holiday dot next to your lens so that you're engaging actively visually with your viewer. And those things will really help. And also, we've got a 1, 2, 3 step patented pending process. Okay, so no one cares about you or your business. Mr. Watkins will tell you this, other than you and your mum. Okay, so don't go in with, "Hi, it's Chris here from any other estate agent. I've been in business for 15 years and I look after the local area." Boring. So actually, if you are a buy-to-let landlord in Bedford, have I got the property for you?
Oh, done.
Instant. BBC News headline, think of that. Or if you are a young family looking for your next home, this one's a cracker. Yeah, instant. Grab them, then give them the detail once you've hooked them. This 4-bedroom detached property benefits from 4 bedrooms, a great family-sized bathroom, a downstairs WC, beautiful back garden, great if you've got young kids to play football in. Yeah, and then finish it with something emotive. I love this property because I can see myself sat out here with a glass of Prosecco and some olives on a Saturday evening, watching the sun go down over the hills. If you're interested,
little insight to Chris's weekend there.
Yeah.
If you're
great steak bake, WKD there with there done.
I'm coming to your house.
Keep it snappy and short, but crucially, and I've had this with every sort of member of society who's like upset about being on camera. You are in control of this content. This isn't an interview with Sky or the BBC where they're going to try and catch you out or ask you a difficult question you don't know the answer to. You're not Boris Johnson, for Christ's sake. Look.
Well,
what's important is you're in control. We've got a client, we won't name his name, Adam Mackay, who made 200 odd videos and never published one because he was worried about had them all on his phone. Yeah. Imagine if he published it.
Yeah.
Imagine
he'd be a year ahead.
He'd be a year in front. And he's an amazing guy and he's great on film and he's really confident. And it took him a while to get to grips with it. But you are in control of your content. Zoe, Steve, they're in control of what they put out. If they have to record it 5 times, they will. And then they put that one out.
But also,
the crucial thing there as well, Matt, Chris, is that if you're worried about getting started as well, yes, you are in control of that, but also it's not like you guys haven't done this a million times before and know exactly the right way to get started on that road, isn't it? You can go up, as Zoe and Stephen will be now. They're finding their own personalities online. They know the direction. They're much clearer in that. But obviously, you can help get people up to that stage over a period of time, can't you?
Yeah, and the proof, like Chris said, is in the pudding. When you turn up for that valuation or post-val, whatever, and that person recognises you, like Ian Story gets this in Cheshire because he knocks out some phenomenal videos. And anyone who's looking to do a property tour, go and check out Ian Story Estates. He's got a great cameraman, and his presenting style is lovely. It's short and sweet, sporadically throughout the video.
It's very Cheshire. Very Cheshire.
Very Cheshire.
Exactly.
You know, benefit from having some nice properties around his area, but also, you know, he'll turn up to meet people now, and they're like, "Oh, hi," and he says he gets that. He doesn't feel famous, but there's that instant rapport because they recognise you and they've already started to trust you. So he says it makes that conversation in the kitchen or sat in the lounge loads easier because they've already met you and trust you.
It's the same as if you were to meet a celebrity like Philip Schofield or Holly Willoughby, you know, because they've been in your living room forever. You know, when you met them, there wouldn't be this awkward. There might be this, oh my God, that's Holly Willoughby, but there wouldn't be this awkward like whatever, because you feel like you've got a kind of pre-existing relationship with them because you've seen them in your living room for the last however many years. And so you'd be able to ask them something that was pertinent to like the latest Good Morning or whatever. And you go, oh, Holly, I really love that dress you were wearing the other day. Or, oh, Philip, you know, bravo. Like, you know, it's fantastic that you can be yourself now and all that other stuff, you know. And I think you've got that pre-existing relationship that you can draw information from. And that's what Ian benefits from, you know, and that's what Zoe and her amazing team in Bedford and Steve and his team will start to benefit from when they go out and meet people. People will be like, oh, you're Steve, I've seen your video, or, you know, whatever. I don't know if you've had that, Zoe, have you yet?
Not yet. Not yet.
We've
had random messages saying we really, I'm not selling or renting my house at the minute, but I really like what you're putting out.
Have you had it, Steve?
Sorry about those random messages.
Yeah, can you stop?
Yeah, I personally haven't, but Emma did. Emma used to get spotted a lot because she was doing Christmas push, putting her out there as well. And I remember getting a text from one of my friends, another agent, was a negotiator awards, and I think RightMove had put our blog up on or Emma's blogs, videos up on the screen midway through.
Nice.
So it does get recognised. It's too early for us. I've only been doing it for 6 weeks.
It will happen.
It will happen. Plus, you're pretty recognisable, Steve, as well. You're handsome and
tall. And tall.
7 foot tall. 7 foot tall.
I thought you just won the football writers. I thought you were Jordan Henderson for a minute earlier, but that was. I thought the guys had done an expose for me.
You cannot get through one conversation without talking about Liverpool Football Club, can you?
No, I can't. Well, he said, "I'm nothing predictable." Steve, Zoe, I think it's obviously fair to say that, you know, the two franchise groups, obviously. You work for there, predominantly known more for lettings than the sales side of things. Do you find that the audiences change dependent on which particular discipline they're coming from? So a lot of people have spoken about lettings being the place of the home of the landlord. Do you find that, or is that overplayed?
Who's going?
I'll let you speak.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of put my teeth in terms of video, are we talking about? I don't. To be honest, we haven't got a massive sales office, but we do sales. But I think the content's being received the same. We tend to find, I suppose, when we do the lives for lettings, you seem to attract the tenants. And obviously when you're doing the lives for selling, you're attracting the buyers. So, you know, we've had one today that was a sale property, and I can already see the comings and goings behind me because there's been a flurry of activity since the live video was done. So I don't think there's a difference in terms. I think maybe people view estate agents and letting agents differently. And it's just trying to book that trend as well. You know, like you say, the polished videos with the, you know, are generally going to be viewed like, oh, it's an estate agent, you know. So it's just trying to, again, it's retraining people's mentality in respect to that.
As Matt was saying earlier, though, the amount of websites that you see that clearly somebody at one stage had the great idea video was a thing, and you do see this incredibly polished video, but then you can almost date it, you know, because you can see that's the only video they've got on there from 4 years ago, haven't they?
Yeah.
And they've missed the entire point there, haven't they, with what video's there to do.
Yeah.
Stuff I've done with it.
Go on, Steve, sorry.
Like I say, the stuff I've done with Chris and Matt is that we keep regurgitating it as well. So the polished stuff wasn't dated. So we've not done anything. We did my journey, which was the Zoom thing, but the what do you call it, Chris? The kind of Love Chelmsford thing, isn't it? Yeah, destination video, that. So we keep regurgitating that because we've got the content exactly the same. Some of the shops aren't available anymore, but the general thing, we love Chelmsford. That was probably the best 2 days we had a cracking couple of days with the guys.
Yeah, they did amazing.
Yeah,
But the same in Wrexham with Vaughan Schofield, who's another Belvoir franchisee. And Vaughan shared his Wrexham film last week, that we made for him 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And because the bulk of those businesses are still there and the business groups and the business leaders haven't shifted dramatically, then it's still relevant. I mean, we say that they have about an 18-month lifespan because obviously your high street picture does change. But actually to reshoot that wouldn't be labour intensive. It would be, we'd go for a day, redo the high street stuff, redo the, any shop fronts that aren't there anymore. We'd just rewatch it and do it, update it. And that piece of content can be updated as, 2.0, and the same version. Because the interviews with the business owners stand, the interviews with the business leaders stand. In Steve's case, we went to Chelmsford Cricket Club. They're still brilliant. Yeah. The beautiful parks and things, they don't change over, 2 years, particularly. So actually, some of this content can be evergreen, but I think, it's about having that right mix. We are not, we're not a company that go, you must use us all the time and you must make professional content. It must look awesome, because actually it doesn't always need to be. It's more about having a constant, yes, professional content is important. It is good for your brand, but I think
sorry, I keep butting in, don't I? I think the thing, I just want to sort of come on what you were saying. I think the thing is, for me, I couldn't have done this without the day's training that, all right, was 2 years ago, but I couldn't have done this without the day's training that I had. I wouldn't have had a Scooby-Doo about where to stand, what to say, how to use a microphone, all that sort of palaver. My landlord events wouldn't have been a success without the expense I put out for the guys to come and video the event. And going forwards, the little bits and pieces that they've done to help me out, I couldn't have done it without. So, as a business owner, you've got to take a view on what you think your needs are. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be running any landlord events soon because we can't do that. But, the fact that my content was, like you said, regurgitated, and that was put out over social media meant that every landlord event I ran after that one was really well attended and was really, really successful. So I think it might seem like an expense at the outset, but actually, when you look at it, it's paid off. It's more than paid for itself now. And I think that's what people got to understand. It might seem like a lot of money, but the cost of that evening was considerably less than a couple of months' payment to RightMove, which I think is probably, so you've got to take a view on it.
People have this view, though, that they make a piece of decent content, as we call it. They make a professional piece. And exactly as Steve has said, people, say to us, how much are your destination films? And we give them a price for it. And they go, Christ, and they go, and because they're viewing it as, we're going to share it once. It's going to go out once. And that's a lot of money for a video that we only use once. But actually, if you think more broadly about the fact that that's got an 18-month life cycle, you can share it every single month. You can on all of your platforms. It can go on your website. It will give you a Google lift for an SEO benefit. It will prop up your other content. And actually, what's crucial, what's important, I'm going to say this to the camera, not everyone is on the internet at the same time. So crucially, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it. And if you have seen it, cool, you'll scroll by it. But there are billions of people on the internet, and they don't all log on at 9 in the morning and log off at 5. They absorb content when they want it. And so just because you share the same bit of content at 9 o'clock on a Monday, 2 o'clock on a Wednesday, and 4 o'clock on a Saturday, doesn't mean that anyone's seen it.
Yeah. We had a chat with an agent who was worried about annoying people with reposting stuff. And exactly what Chris said. We said, well, like Linda from the high street could have been on holiday, and Dave, who works in the butchers, might have had a week off with the kids, so he wasn't using social media that week. So the week after, when he comes back to work, post it again, and then Dave might see it, and then Linda might see it when she's back from holiday. And it's a fine line between annoying.
So many channels, isn't it?
Yes.
Because not everyone's on Facebook. They might be on Twitter. They might be on YouTube. They might be on LinkedIn. They might be on, on Twitch. They might be on. That's super modern for the kids.
But Coca-Cola don't worry about whether, oh God, you've seen my advertising too many places. It's not on the radar. What possible, what possible reason could you have to worry about it?
Think about a radio ad campaign or a TV ad campaign, exactly that. they'll sell you a block of stuff and it will go out at various times across a protracted period of time, and they'll schedule it into their schedules, and it'll go out maybe 100 times, different times of day and night, to try and catch as many people as possible. And that's how you should be approaching your social media.
Cool. Good. Everyone, thank you very much. We've got to wind up soon, but obviously want to first of all get the idea from you. We've spoke about obviously the number of different ways there. Can you just give an overview of all the different ways, the different kind of things you can offer to your estate agent clients? You spoke about brilliant, fantastic entry level, obviously on Facebook. Just step it all the way through. I think I've got a presentation you sent over, haven't I? Is that
got the ladder in?
No, I mean that's got just some of our kind of like monthly sort of packages of things that we do. So we're launching a load of stuff for Kerfuffle members, some Kerfuffle exclusives. But we've basically tried to think about what an agency owner might need. So rather than thinking about how what the output for us is, what if you were an agency owner, if you were Zoe and you were getting started with video content, what would you need? So obviously we've got our free training group, which anyone can join, please do, on Facebook. There's our paid for digital training school, which Zoe and Steve have had that training, and that's $9.99 a month. So you can join that if they want to, and we'll help them learn as we've taught these guys. Then there's our low-cost editing service, which both Steve and Zoe have used. So that starts at 20 quid for a top and tail and a logo ad, and then 50 to 100 quid if they want something a bit more involved. And then moving on, we do things like our training, our monthly stuff with Pete Lawrence or Sean Driscoll at Martin & Co, where we go to site. And we do a full day's filming, and the output from that is about between 8 and 12 pieces of high quality content, anything from market updates, top 30 streets, bits about staff, recruitment video, meet the team stuff, little mini businessy profile-y things, property tour, community interviews, the Digimare stuff with the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, a full day of content that they can do. And then obviously the studio time here at our offices, where we can do green screen and things like that. We've got 2,000 square foot of studio space here. We can make anything Simon you're thinking.
Great.
So we've got that, and then we've also got at the top end, things like our destination films that we made with Steve that are a sort of big project one-off type thing. So in our packages with Kerfuffle, what we've done is we've gone, right, well, what can we do as a discount if people buy a chunk of stuff? So we've offered some training places on our digital school, a bank of these low-cost edit credits, we call them, that people buy, and then some time either on site or in the studio, with us on a monthly basis. So people will, pay us a monthly retained fee, which is great for us because we can give people all of our energy and our time. But also people get a big chunk of stuff that tries to hit everything. So access to our free group, access to our paid training school, a few low-cost edits for the stuff that they're making themselves, they just want doing, and then some professional content to bolster that other stuff. So a complete solution, basically, because we're Property Video Solutions. So the idea is to provide people with a complete solution that fits their budgetary need. So there's obviously it's scaled, depending on what people want, and they don't have to buy any of that. They can just log onto our free group and get some advice. But we want to help as many people as possible, but also stay in business, which is crucial.
Exactly.
There is that.
It's nice to be able to do both. Well, look, thank you for that. And look, obviously, as I said, we've heard from Steve and Zoe. They were clearly big fans. I'm very biased, as you know. I love working with you guys. I find that just that blend of being able to do stuff myself and to have you on hand as well to do the, you know, the top quality stuff just works absolutely perfectly for us. And look, the fact you're a 5-star reviewed on the Kerfuffle website makes you me love you just that little bit more.
Thanks, Mum.
Anyone who's interested, you can find the guys on their Facebook groups. Obviously, just mention Kerfuffle for those discounts, guys. Thank you very much for doing that. It always is appreciated. Or you can do the I'm interested, contact me button on the Kerfuffle website, and you know,
you'll share those prices out, right? To the
yeah, we'll send them all out. We will do. Steve and Zoe, thank you very much for taking your time out of your day today. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Love
We love you all.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
See you later.